Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you another edition of 4 Downs with the Czar here at MetLife Stadium, where the New York Giants played host to the Detroit Lions, and the Lions came out on top 24-10. Let's take a look at some first half offensive takeaways for the New York Giants. The protection was there early, but it started to falter as the first half went on, to the point where they couldn't get anything going from a passing standpoint and definitely from a running standpoint. Their offense was stagnant. The running game is non-existent. Eli Manning was under duress throughout the entire first half, and at some point it was his own fault. He held the football a little bit too long, but the protection definitely wasn't there. And Odell Beckham did play in this ball game, but was more of a decoy. He was more on a snap count, so to speak, just to throw off the Lions defense. They weren't having it, and that offense really couldn't get anything going in the first half. Looking at some defensive takeaways for the New York Giants. Overall, I didn't think the defense played that bad. They were able to collapse the pocket around Matthew Stafford. Eli Apple still struggles to find the football. Gave up a touchdown to Marvin Jones on that end of the field. You also look at a guy like Ross Cockrell stepping up in that third cornerback spot and was able to take some pressure off that secondary and make some plays. Another big spot defensively that really caught my attention in that first half was the fact that they were able to really limit Detroit and what they wanted to do. They took away Golden Tate and forced Matthew Stafford to go to other targets consistently throughout the ball game. So if this Giants defense can continue to show its versatility and flexibility despite missing key personnel on that defense, it bodes well for their chances moving forward. First half offensive takeaways for the Detroit Lions. Amir Abdullah's elusiveness was definitely on display tonight in front of a national audience. This guy, he's a player that can consistently make the first guy miss, which was impressive, and that aids your running game and keeps your offense on pace. You also look at that offensive line. I thought Greg Robinson had his issues in pass protection and also with the penalties and things of that nature, so he has to raise his level of play. Matthew Stafford's mobility was a big surprise tonight. He's the guy that kept a lot of those plays going and was able to move that football on third down. That was a big part of their success in the first half. Stafford's mobility to be able to get out of problems and into some positive plays, able to extend the play with his legs, something that you don't normally see from number 9. So I thought he played well in the first half, and also they were able to spread the ball around to many different targets. Like I said earlier, the Giants were able to take away Golden Tate, but he was able to find other targets, get those guys involved, which again kept their offense on pace. First half defensive takeaways for the Detroit Lions. I thought defensive coordinator Terrell Austin called an outstanding game. He trusted their front four to get pressure on Eli Manning, because essentially for the entire first half and also for the entire game, they stayed virtually in two-man across the board and dared the Giants to beat them one-on-one, and he couldn't answer the call. I also thought that they forced an interception in the second quarter. Great job, great communication between the linebacker and second level, able to force an interception, which put them in position to get points up on the board. So defensively, they got pressure on Eli Manning. They shut down the Giants' running game. They stayed in too high. Their corners were able to make plays. That's why they only held the Giants to 7 points in the first half. Moving on to the second half, offensive takeaways for the New York Giants. No offensive rhythm at all coming out of the break. This is a team that couldn't find room to run. They couldn't really protect Eli Manning, and when they did, the Lions had sticky coverage on the back end. So the Giants offense really has to get into gear if they want to have some success. Now, they started to move the football when they wanted to push the tempo and try to get back into this ball game, but ultimately stalled inside the red zone. Was able to get the field goal, which made it 17-10, but that offense really couldn't get out of its own way all evening long. Second half defensive takeaways for the New York Giants. Again, their defense gave them chances, and they had opportunities. They got off the field, they put the ball back in the hands of their offense, but the offense couldn't get anything going, which again put the defense in backed up situations. But again, the defense answered the call. They did what they had to do. They tried to give their offense a chance, but the offense couldn't answer the call, which is why they ended up losing this ball game. Moving on to the second half offensive takeaways for the Detroit Lions. Their offense, quite honestly, was kept in check in the second half, but what kept them on pace was their ground game. Amir Abdullah essentially closed out this ball game with a big time run going toward the opposite end of the field, and what really closed out this game for the New York Giants was the big punt return by rookie corner Jamal Agnew out of the University of San Diego. He broke this game open, made it 24-10, which essentially put the Giants away. Defensive takeaways for the Detroit Lions. It was more of the same in the first half. They didn't really get out of their element as far as coverage is concerned. They stayed too high. They stayed man coverage across the board. They were able to match up one-on-one versus their receivers and their tight ends, and took away a lot of what the Giants wanted to do, throwing the football. And don't even ask about the running game. Detroit Lions run defense was outstanding. Let's take a look at the player of the game for the New York Giants, starting with the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to give it to rookie tight end Evan Ingram. Stepped up in the big way, got his first NFL touchdown, 4 receptions for 49 yards. So the receiving tight end, a.k.a. blocking tight end, the guy that stepped in and did a great job today, earned player of the game for me offensively. On the defensive side, another rookie, undrafted free agent Kelvin Munson out of San Diego State had to step in and take the starting role at the middle linebacker spot in replace of B.J. Goodson. He did a great job, 8 tackles, 7 solo stops, 1 sack, 1 TFL. So considering he was asked to be the starter on short notice, he stepped up and played big time ball and definitely earned defensive player of the game for the Giants. Offensive player of the game for the Detroit Lions, I'm going to go with Ameer Abdullah. I know I'm biased to the running back position, but Ameer Abdullah was the one that kept this offense on pace, averaged over 5.5 yards a carry, consistently made the first guy miss. And if the Lions can get their running game going like this on a consistent basis, their offense as a whole will be very tough to defend. So Ameer Abdullah played a big game for this Lions offense and definitely earned player of the game honors from me. Defensive player of the game, I'm going to give it to Ziggy Ansah. 3 sacks, 3 tackles. This was a guy that lived in the backfield, gave Eric Flowers problems. I'm sorry, he had 3 sacks, 6 tackles, gave Eric Flowers problems on that left side, and this was a guy that was in the face of Eli Manning all night long, very disruptive force. So Ziggy Ansah definitely stepped up big and was able to answer some of the questions that I had coming into this ballgame for Detroit. Could they get that pass rush going? Ansah definitely answered the call and earned defensive player of the game. So that's it for this edition of 4 Downs with the Czar. I'm Emory Hunt, the Czar of the Playbook. For more of my NFL, Giants, and Lions coverage, visit the website footballgameplan.com/NFL.